You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Like, that's something I've had to learn to, like, admit to myself. Like, that I am going to fail, and when I fail, there's no way to put on a happy face and be like, oh, this was amazing and all worth it. Like, no, I have failed many times.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life and dealing with Alan Seals. My name is Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seals. I'm the one she deals with. Heather and I started off as two perfect strangers who met by chance and embraced opportunity. So now you get to listen in and chat as we chat with other chat. Listen in as we chat with other successful people about the risks they've taken to put themselves on a path to creative success, he says as he sips more
He
coffee.
can't talk. Oh my gosh.
Sips.
It is Friday for sure.
Look,
we are.
This is what it sounds like inside my coffee mug.
We were just talking about how this week has been a long year, and then Alan said this day's been a long week, and yes. So let's get to it. I am really excited to have today's conversation. Buckle up, folks, because today on Was It Chance, we're talking to teen theatrical powerhouse and Broadway-bound Maddie Price. Maddie is a 16-year-old playwright and producer who's not just making waves, she's creating her own theatrical tsunami. From Munchkin mayors to revolutionary spies, Maddie is on a mission to put teen talent center stage. She's got a musical in the works, a production company under her belt, like say what? Her sights are set on the Great White Way. So grab your playbill, get ready for a healthy dose of inspiration, and let's get to know Maddie Price. Welcome.
Hi,
Hey,
thank you
Maddie.
so much for having me.
You are a gutsy kid. You pitched us to have you on the show, and I was like, we have to say yes to her because I could not respect that from a 16-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, I loved y'all's show. I've always loved, the Broadway Podcast Network as a whole. And I think something I have learned in my time working in theater is, like, always just do a cold email. There's no harm. And, of course, sometimes it turns into amazing opportunities like this.
Wait, so where are you physically located that in proximity to Broadway?
I am in Austin, Texas right now, but my heart is in New York. I'm an Austin local, but I go to New York like very frequently.
In Austin,
Texas.
there's a lot of Texas people that are into Broadway and actors who come from Texas to Broadway. And it's like, are the only blue voters down there the ones that end up coming to Broadway? Is that sort of where we are?
Can I go back to Texas and vote blue there, please? You're not there yet, Maddie, but soon.
Yes, there's a pretty big community of us here.
I would suspect so.
I love Austin, actually. Yeah.
It's a fun city.
Well, then what got you into theater? Because there's the typical thing of like, I love theater. I'm obsessed with theater. I'm going to listen to cast albums. I'm going to perform locally. I'm going to do what I'm doing. But we're going to get to like all of the extra stuff because everything you've done beyond that is stuff that even people their entire lifetime won't do. And you're still only 16, so you're going to be great. But like, what got you into theater to start?
Yeah, I've grown up in a very musical family. My dad's a guitarist. So I've always kind of, as you can see, there's piano behind me. We've always been playing instruments and into music in general. But it wasn't until I believe I was 6 or 7, I saw my cousin perform in some elementary school version of Beauty and the Beast. And it was really the first live theater experience I'd had. And right after, I had my mom sign me up for the next like 5 shows. I was in love. Like, I had really found, my passion. And from there, I've really just dived deep into theater. And for all these years, my love of theater has kind of expanded as I've also, expanded my experience within the industry.
But then taking that one step further, you've become a playwright and a producer and you're starting this, you have a musical in development, we said. So where did you, I guess, why and when?
Yeah, because you're 16 and most people are like, back when I was 16.
Instead of doing what I would say your stereotypical high schooler is doing, you're doing all these other amazing things. And where did that need come from? Why did that even start?
And when? Yeah.
Yeah, and when?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was into theater, but in middle school, I started like actually like reading books. I remember I read Singular Sensation, and that's when I kind of fell in love with like actually the creation of shows, and the
Michael Riedel's
development
book?
and that whole process. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with the whole process. And then actually the school I go to, it's called Alpha. The whole idea of the school is that in your high school 4 years, you create some sort of passion project and you get to really expand upon it, and they support you in every possible way. And so going into high school, I really knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to create my own show and do my own thing. I was mainly inspired by Lin-Manuel Miranda, but I had this a big idea of just going to Broadway as a teenager. And then, when I was in high school, when I had all that time and support that my school was giving me, I knew it was my moment to really just dive deep and actually start creating and really doing things, outside of just the traditional community theater.
How did you get the idea? And tell folks about the project that you have created, the show, and then how did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, so 355 the Musical is a show about a female spy in the American Revolution as she pretty much saves the war. It is inspired by her real historical existence. However, the whole idea is we don't know what her identity was. We just know her name was Agent 355 and she was a really big deal. So I basically took history at that time during the American Revolution and this kind of secret spy group that George Washington had, but not many people knew about. And I filled in the blanks with what she could have done. The goal of the show is to be entirely written and performed by teenagers, really just trying to highlight teen voices in the arts, as we're already emerging and getting to start doing so many big things. And the idea of the show really came about a few months into my freshman year. I had just seen Anastasia, and I just loved the idea of getting to that it was like kind of historical. She kind of did exist, and then like they took it into this big magical fairy tale world. And so I went onto Google and I looked up underrated women in history.
I love that.
And this name, Agent 355, it just caught my eye because, why didn't she have a name? I started looking it up and there was such a lack of information, and that really drew me in because people knew so little about her. And as for the teen aspect, I think, I know earlier I said that there is a community of actors and creators in Austin, but I think that there is this whole thing, especially with the rise of social media, of teens who are really trying to actually create and start making careers for themselves very early on, because so many more things are accessible. And I just really loved that whole thing. And I wanted to kind of hone in on it and actually make it very productive, and get to also start some careers for some really talented people, which hopefully I think I'm working to do right now.
So you're starting your own career. But wait, did you say your high school's name is Alpha?
It is, yes, Alpha Academy.
Oh, Alpha. Okay. So there's their Beta Academy and Omega Academy. Are they all are you guys all rivals?
No, but we joke about it.
Just the top, just the Alpha.
Just the Alpha. Okay.
Top. Of course, our mascot's a wolf.
The Alpha Wolf. Right. Okay.
Yes.
So the Alpha teaching you to be the top dog, the top wolf. Mm-hmm. You're creating your own destiny. Might we say you are manifesting your own creativity? Why musicals? Why? You could do plays, you could write novels, you could do screenplays, even for that matter, right? But you're getting into arguably what I would say is probably the hardest of all of the genres of creativity when it comes to putting something up in front of other people. So, again, why did you want to do this? And then where do you see yourself 2 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted, it started with a love of performing and being on stage and singing, for so many people. And obviously, like I said, Lin-Manuel Miranda kind of led that to me want to create as well. But I have actually pursued other, writing avenues. I've written some I wouldn't say not books, but, somewhere in that area. And I actually at one point quit the show during my freshman year and tried to write screenplays instead because I thought it would be easier. But I just feel like I've always been pulled to musical theater. And I kind of like that it's a challenge, that it's one of the first articles I read when it said, how do I make a musical? The first thing it said was don't. I really liked that challenge. I liked that it is so crazy to do, let alone to do as a high schooler. And as for where I see myself in 2 years, I mean, because it's a teenager made show, like I'm on the clock here. I'm 16, so I've got 4 years to really get this show going. So the show's starting to do like performances. It's actually going to be debuting at 54 Below in a few months. And so ideally in 2 years, the show will be, performing and just kind of, if all goes well, really be kind of accepted by especially the Gen Z theater community as, the new show, the new thing that people can really latch onto and, belt in their cars.
No cap.
And just keep growing.
No
I
cap.
love
That's
that. So
very
when are you performing at 54 Below?
In February.
How did you, and it's easy for me to talk today, apparently. Maybe this came through connections at school, but how do you take a show written by a teenager for teenagers, performed by teenagers, and get it on the stage at 54 Below?
Here in New York City.
Here in New York City. I'm in Chicago. I'm not there, but I'm gonna come see it. That's why I want to know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, and something I've learned after my first year of really just, creating and just trying to make something good, I learned, it all comes down to networking and just emailing and just cold emailing literally everybody. So I spend a few hours every week just reaching out to people that I admire or I want to learn from, or, I want to work with in any way possible. And luckily over these past few years, I have also, gained some level of credibility for the show. Like I've been posting on social media and it's not like crazy yet, but we do have like nearly 1 million likes. And I've been featured on some other like really cool networks. So yeah, I've luckily gotten far enough where I can properly, promote it and actually get things like 54 Below to take me seriously.
I think that's awesome.
That's interesting. How does that process work, actually? Because I know Jennifer Ashley Tepper, who's like the creative, she works with all the shows and helps. I think she's a creative director. I forget her title. But did you work with her to get in? Have you talked with her at all? And like, what's the process to say, hey, here's something I want to put on stage. Here's some clips. Here's some thingy. We're going to get so-and-so to be on here. Like, is it a full pitch? Like you're selling a book?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. It was pretty fast, but I pitched them and then I just kind of gave them, details. I made a poster for the show on Pinterest. And I just did my best to, kind of get as many materials as possible. And then, I briefly talked with her, but yeah, it happened. Like I thought it was going to be a very big thing, but it was pretty fast. Like, okay, we gave you this date. Let's get it booked, which is awesome. I mean, it's great for me.
Did you expect it to happen? Like, honestly, you were like, I'm going to shoot this shot. I'm just going to get experience doing it and then I'll do something else. But like now that it's actually happening, you're like, oh shit, now I really got to do this.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I mean, it is definitely like a lot, especially given that, the show's still new. We're still drafting. We're still working on new songs and like every day some big change or decision or cut or something, which I guess is the life of any musical. But yeah, knowing that there's actually a date where I have to sell tickets and get people to come and see and be engaged is like definitely raising the bar quite a lot.
That's interesting.
What about the audition process for the show? Or you're not there yet. Have you cast the show?
Sort of. I'm doing a content shoot actually in December in New York at Open Jar. And so I've got like a very early preliminary cast of just some different actor influencers that I know. And we're just going to kind of work together, but I haven't gotten an official cast yet. I have a dream cast, but got to do some steps before we get there.
Okay. So who's your creative team? Who is working with you to help you bring this to fruition?
Yeah, so I work with 2 songwriters, Mayla Stith and Sammy Antonetti. They both are wonderful. We've actually never met in person. I found them through an NYU songwriting camp that I did. And since then, I mean, our creative process, we basically FaceTime each other like every day in a week that we can. And we just work on songs and, continue developing, drafting, get feedback, ideas. I'm definitely not as much of a songwriter as they are, by any means, so I kind of just guide the process. But otherwise, I'm the main writer. I've worked with some editors in the past and like, co-writers, but I found that like I think I kind of have this vision and I really just want to make sure that it gets all the way through. But I have worked with many people in the past few years, but this is kind of, me and my two songwriters is kind of what stuck.
I love that. So will they be with you at Open Jar when you do your call?
Yes. One of them will be at Open Jar and both of them are coming for 54.
We have readings all the time in the city. There's industry readings, producer readings, investor performances and stuff. So workshops. So like after 54 Below, or even like leading up to this beforehand, are you going to invite investors? Are you going to invite producers? What's the hope out of doing this in 54 Below? You're going to, Open Jar is where everyone goes for rehearsals very famously. It's a great studio space.
I was like, hey, we've been there.
Yeah.
This kid knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, we've recorded there. Is there a plan? Is there a plan that you have outlined in your head of like what the next steps are, or is it just like I'm just going to throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks, hope because there's no wrong answer. I'm just wondering. Yeah. I'm just trying to pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely intend to invite producers and investors at least for feedback, and I've luckily networked with a few in the past, so hopefully I can get them to come. But actually my biggest angle for the show in terms of growth and development is really utilizing social media. I have been one of the people who's been like so obsessed with all of the TikTok musicals since Ratatouille the musical to, the Bridgerton musical and all of those. And I've really seen how it can spur the growth of a show, especially for newer creators who haven't done as much in the field. And so I've been really trying to utilize that to try to, get traction earlier on for the show. And so, yeah, I actually like the content shoot at Open Jar. It's mainly to get, video content so I can continue posting. I'm also going to be doing it with influencers who are also actors, who are also teenagers. So yeah, really just trying to network and utilize, social media as a way to kind of shoot the show forward.
I feel like that is such a cool avenue for kids your age.
Yeah.
Because you know how to do it so much more effectively than the rest of us do, but it's such a unique opportunity that didn't even exist. And I think even 5 years ago, the way that it exists now, it just simply didn't exist. And I think about the Gen Z folk behind Kamala HQ. And now they're on TikTok and they're talking about, they were brilliant. We were all like, oh my God, who is this? Nobody over the age of 25 was in the entire social comms team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is crazy. Social media has really become such a powerful skill. And it's really right now Gen Z's superpower because it's the key to get something that you made in your basement for hundreds of thousands of millions of people to see within an hour.
So what is your favorite platform and how do you best utilize it?
My favorite platform is TikTok. Mm-hmm. I haven't really grown much of an audience. I've played around with how I post for it. For a while, I posted just, fun stuff about my thoughts on theater, hot takes, and all that. But I have played around with a bunch of different styles and strategies. Now that I'm actually getting the show much further in development, it will be easier to, properly promote it. But yeah, I personally like TikTok the best because I like that at any moment you could go viral. It doesn't, there is an algorithm, but there's some secret sauce in the videos that blow up. And I just think that makes it so special because there is Instagram and YouTube where you can get a dedicated following, but it takes a lot of work. And a lot of times it can take a really large amount of time to get such a committed audience. But on TikTok, I really think that, there are accounts that have 100 followers and then we'll get 30 million views. And within a day, they'll have 100,000 followers. And I think that's something really special about the platform.
Yo, that's bussin'.
We're so old. Oh my God.
Hey, I know what I'm talking about. No cap. We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of the episode. And now we're back. So then, that's where you are 2 years from now, or 4 years. You got 4 years. is the plan you want to go to school for creative writing, for screenwriting, for musical composition? Like, there's all sorts of different like niches within all of this now. So what's the next step professionally?
I mean,
or I guess educationally.
Yeah. In all honesty, I sort of have no idea. I have always kind of left college and that whole, next step in terms of education as a question mark, just because I don't know what really is going to click. I mean, I do have a deep love for writing, and so I would love to go into, English, that more side of it. But also I have still perform, and I would love to, go to a school. I mean, no, Juilliard's big, but like something like, some really big theater schools to kind of pursue that further. But at the same time, I love business. So I think there are a lot of different avenues I could take right now. I'm really focusing on the show, getting it further developed. And then when I feel like it's kind of able to stand on its own, I'll turn my attention to see, what I really want to pursue in more long term.
Slay fam. Yeah. Okay.
How did you end up at Alpha Academy? What's the story behind that? I
have been there since 3rd grade.
So your parents just discovered this cool school and said,
yeah, sort of. I mean, I was doing fine at my traditional school. And I enjoyed it, but I think it sounds really cocky. I was pretty ahead, naturally, and I wasn't very challenged, and they cut off our GT program, which made me really frustrated because I wanted a creative outlet. And that was when we heard about my cousin who was going to this weird random school that was in a house at the time. And the whole idea was that they learned with computers and it was this whole thing. But then we saw her give this little TED Talk presentation. And my family, we agreed that me and my sister couldn't do that, but we wanted to be able to do that and to be able to develop life skills like that at such a young age. And so we joined, and back then it wasn't even called Alpha. It was called Emergent Academy. And since then it has seen many different, it's shifted and changed quite a lot because it is a startup school. But it's also I'm so grateful for all the opportunities and room for growth that it has provided me with.
Is that what opened the doors for the production company? Or does that,
yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. The production company was an idea I had last year when I was starting to work with, more songwriters and creators. And I thought it would be nicer to kind of have that foundation instead of just doing this on my own as a personal entity. And so actually one of our, we don't call them teachers, one of our guides at our school, she was a lawyer. And so she kind of helped me figure out how to get all that set up so I could, create Maddie Price Productions. And I mean, I guess 355 Musical is the first show for Maddie Price Productions, but I definitely see it going much further.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, was if there's any other works that you have involved with it, or it's smart to wrap your business idea with a legal business, with an actual legal business. Yeah. But are you working with your peers, with other people? Are you trying to produce other things at the same time?
Not as of this moment. I'm still working the show. We're still finishing up with edits and stuff with 355. But then from there, yeah, I also plan on starting to then make kind of production company as a whole a way to, continue this whole idea of 355, highlighting teens and, works and all that kind of stuff.
Wait, 355. So you're writing that. Are you doing everything soup to nuts? Like music, lyrics, book, production design, all of this? Or have you put together a team of collaborators?
I've got a team of 2 songwriters, so they help quite a lot with the music and lyrics. But otherwise, I am doing it all on my own as of this moment. So it's definitely a lot of splitting my focus between, going from writing to emailing people to, doing all the things. And I think I kind of just slowly add people to my creative team. But yeah, as of right now, I feel like a crazy person. I'm the producer, director, writer, all of the above.
And you're still going to school full time, yeah?
Yes, I am.
How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, our school, I know I mentioned this a little bit ago, but the idea is we do most of our learning on computers, just with apps and stuff like that. So
is it in person? Do you do that in person on campus at school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. And so because of that, it opens up a lot of time in our day to work on these projects and, continue to grow. And each kid is kind of doing their own thing, but for me, it's made things a lot easier so I can, go home and go on podcasts and, do meetings and all the things, because it is, especially like with what I'm doing, it's very unpredictable on what my day is going to look like. But yeah, luckily I've kind of had that flexibility built in.
You said you're kind of in a wait and see after graduating from high school, but if you could invent the Maddie Price in 20 years, what do you think she's doing?
Well, okay, you guys are gonna laugh. I have a life bucket list of all the things that I've wanted to achieve, like since I was like 7. So
it's better
some
than
of
a
these things,
death bucket list, by the way. So yeah, good idea.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all the things I want to do since I was like 7. So some things on there are like own a Target. Not sure if I'm gonna get to that.
Own a Target. I don't want to own
Yeah.
a Target. I want to own enough money to buy whatever I want from Target, but I don't want to own the Target.
Wait, you
Yeah,
want to own
no,
a single
don't-
location or all of Target? Like the
don't know
corporate
what-
Target.
Yeah, I wish I could ask 7-year-old me what I was thinking when I thought that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see myself pursuing a life in the arts, continuing to create and, kind of, I like the idea of, bringing in this kind of new wave into just the arts and entertainment industry. But I also do love, like I mentioned, business. And I've always kind of been interested in hotels and the whole kind of hotel travel industry. And so I definitely would love to pursue something within that. I've played with the idea of a merge of the two. But yeah, it's a very different interest.
I like
but
that. A theater hotel merge. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
basically like Sleep No More, but you get to actually sleep there?
Yes, that's what I was literally about to say. It's Sleep No More. It's an experience. When you sign up, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know, if there's a secret passage that leads to some crazy thing in like the basement of the hotel. But it's fun. It's an experience.
I think that's a great idea. And I actually hate to burst your bubble. I just Googled, can you franchise a Target? And the answer is no. You cannot own a single Target. But top franchise opportunities that it suggested alternatively are, let's see, McDonald's, 7-Eleven, Ace Hardware, Dunkin' Donuts.
No.
You could do a KFC. The UPS store, you could always just ship yourself stuff for free. That's nice. Anyway, so we gotta work on this Target thing. Either you got to be the CEO of Target.
No,
or
I
you
like the theater hotel.
the theater. What, do you have a name for it?
I go ahead and claim it.
Oh, I have no idea. Maybe it'll just be, I don't know. Price isn't that good of a last name for hotel. It's not like the Hilton or anything.
The Price.
have
The
to- It
Price
could be
Hotel.
Price.
Yeah, the Price.
That could work.
The Price
That could work.
Hotel.
I'll call it that for now. Then I'll figure
Okay.
out something cooler.
Okay, we're gonna call it the price. I
The
love that.
Theater Price. The Broadway Price.
Yes.
Let's see. We're workshopping this still. We'll
The
figure it
Great Price Way.
The Great
Price
Price
Way.
Way. There you go. Well,
That's
okay.
so
So 7-year-old you came up with that idea. 7-year-old you was also that old when Hamilton came out. Just throwing that out there to make Heather and me feel old. When Hamilton opened, you were 7. That's great.
Yes.
I saw
and
the original
was
cast.
obsessed
Oh
with it.
God. Okay. So you are you're at the beginning of this career explosion, at the beginning of all of this, and it sounds like things are going really well, and you're having these unexpected yeses all over the place. But how do you handle the no's? And if you listen to the podcast, you know what's coming. What's your relationship with failure?
Yep. Yes, I'm prepared for this one.
Okay.
In all honesty, like, it still sucks. Like, that's something I've had to learn to, like, admit to myself. Like, that I am going to fail, and when I fail, there's no way to put on a happy face and be like, oh, this was amazing and all worth it. Like, no. I have failed many times. I mean, when I started creating the show, I kind of just dove in head first. I had no idea what I was doing. And there were a lot of people who had to tell me I was getting ahead of myself or I didn't know what I was doing, and I had to go back and do everything all over again. And then there's some people who have just told me this is impossible and isn't going to happen. So I think it has been really hard, and something I've kind of had to learn, how do I want to let this affect me? And, how am I going to let this affect, what I'm doing and what I'm working on? And I think, I'm not going to lie, I still struggle with it. It's hard. And it's frustrating, especially because, this show is my livelihood, and this is what I love. And I hate having people say like, no, you actually need to redo this, or you need to fix this. But at the same time, I try to view it as a challenge. It's not like I failed, that door is closed. It's like, no, it's just a little bit of a higher mountain that you now have to climb. And I listen to Climb by Miley Cyrus like every day. So yeah, I mean, because I'm very motivated by having things that seem nearly impossible. There's that 1% chance. Like, I'm like, I'll be that 1% chance. And so I've been working on, viewing failure as like something that just, no, it's like, okay, there is something I'm not seeing, or some new opportunity, and it's not going to be easy, and it is going to be really, really, really annoying. But in the end, I'm going to be all the better from it. And even though I'll hate to admit that to myself, it is true. And I mean, I failed in a lot of different ways. Like, actually finding songwriters was something
Welcome to life, kid. It never stops. Sorry, keep telling your story.
Oh yeah. I wanted to find songwriters, and I was just so obsessed with this idea of finding them online. And so, I cold DM'd people. And for the span of a year, I could not find and actually work with a songwriter for any prolonged period of time. And I kept being like, no, this is how I'm going to do it. This is how it's going to work. And it kept not working because, I mean, they're teenagers, so they're hard to manage. They'll leave you on red and they won't pick up the phone, all those things. And also, like, I didn't know them, and they had no reason to care about anything I was doing. I mean, I also was approaching it like a business, which, like, mistake number one, again, not knowing what I'm doing. Like, I was trying to hire them, which I learned was not how I wanted to go about this. But then finally, I tried a different angle, which was going to this camp, because, I mean, I just audited it. I didn't even participate. I just, like, looked. It was a recruiting opportunity. And I found some songwriters I liked, and then from there, they were totally open, and we just got to working, and it really clicked. But, I mean, it took so long to just get to that, like, one point of being able to then even create the show. Like, I haven't even created it yet. It was just getting to be able to create something. But it just, like, now I'm, like, so grateful, just trying not to take for granted, that I did make it to that point.
It's a lot of learning at your age. Like, it's it's kind of amazing. And I guess that's the kind of experience one gets to have when you're in a hands-on experiential school like you're in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've always had us in the younger ages. You do a lot of hands-on, like, we do these things called workshops, where it's literally just like for one semester, you just dive deep into like practical effects or baking or biking or all these things. So I've been very used to, getting my hands dirty, trying to figure out what I'm doing. But I think there was definitely a big shock factor when I was doing it at so much of a larger scale. And I was like, oh, wait, if I do this wrong, if I mess this up, there are actual consequences, like real life. But yeah, I mean, I've learned, I've grown, still working on it, but it's a everyday battle.
I can't wait. And are tickets already on sale for the performance?
They will be. The show will be going on Wednesday, February 12th from 9:30 p.m. And we will be going through a song cycle of the show with some amazing actors from NYC, highlighting a bunch of awesome teen talent.
And then you said tickets are on sale now.
Tickets are, yes.
Tickets are on sale now at 54below. .com, I believe, or is it .org?
It's
.org.
Yeah,
.org.
It's .org.
Oh, right.
Yes.
They're a nonprofit now, I think. Yeah, so 54 Below, go there, get tickets. And how else can we connect with you and follow your journey? Yeah,
I mean, follow me on TikTok at Dramatalena, spelled drama, DELENA. So you can see I just highlight everything we're doing, get to show tidbits of demos from the show, and, every step that we're taking along the way.
So cool.
Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah. You're a parent. I'm a parent. I think our kids are brilliant. But it's really interesting to see somebody her age, like, doing these things that grown-ass people that we know can't even pull off.
Grown-ass people can't pull it off.
Stop it. There are going to be kids listening to this. You can't.
If a 16-year-old hasn't heard the word ass yet, then we got bigger problems. Okay, grown-ass people can't get done what Maddie Price is getting done.
I think it's true.
There are
a lot of people that can't.
Oh, I agree. They're full blown us adults level people who try to write musicals or get things on stage, and it falls flat. It doesn't work. And the way that she described her process of getting to where she is just like, well, that didn't work. I'm going to go over here and do it again over there, and then I'm going to try here, try there. And that is the attitude that is going to make her incredibly successful later on.
Absolutely. And she just sort of, I mean, I get the impression that there's just a lot of zero fucks to give, Maddie, if you're listening.
Hey, there's kids listening.
I know. It wasn't that. It wasn't the cursing that I was chastising you for. It was the jokes you were making about the cursing that I was chastising you for.
Ass people.
Okay. And then the kids are listening and they're like, well, he's not funny, but she's stuffy. So I don't know. My daughter told me. My daughter told me Wednesday morning, Mama, I love you, but you are really not funny. I was like, some people think I'm funny. She's like, you're really not. Nothing you say is funny.
My kids now, the lever is being switched now. Like, my older one's about to be 10 in a few weeks, and he's getting the fact that dad jokes are not all funny. Like, some of them are painfully bad. And so he started to grade me on my jokes. And I'm like, yes, this is good. This is good. You understand good senses of humor.
It's the way it goes. Yeah, that's the process. Yeah. That's the process.
Anyhow.
But no, she just seems like, I'm sure she's got fears. Everybody has fears. But it's like, well, what's the risk? Let's go out. I'm just going to, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm going to try it. We'll see what happens. Nothing bad can happen from trying it. And then look at all of these amazing things that are happening from quote unquote trying it. It's such a good, I mean, I know that we have grown up adult people who listen to this show, and you just go ahead and channel your inner 16-year-old Maddie Price when you're afraid to try something new and be like, well, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Really? What's the worst that could happen? And then all of a sudden she's like bring her show to 54 Below, where so many amazing things have come and premiered and had concerts and debuts, and it's incredible. It's really incredible. Like, kind of the world she's stumbling into without realizing what she's stumbling into, especially being in Texas. She's not right here to have this ecosystem around here, and I think it's incredible what she's been doing. I
think it is too. And also she knows her New York City.
Right?
54 Below, Open Jar Studios. I was like, hey, wait, hold on. I'm texting you on the side. Like, this kid knows her shit. She knows her NYC.
This is where you go. That's where you go. All right. Well, everyone make sure to get tickets at 54below.org for 355. Keep an eye out. Follow her on TikTok. I guess she doesn't have Instagram. She's too young for Instagram now. It's only TikTok. That's all she mentioned.
No, she's not. You have to be 13 to have an Instagram.
No. I mean, like, she just doesn't have one. She doesn't.
But she has one, but there's one post. I did link it in the show notes.
Oh, did you?
But she's not very active on it. But you know what? She will be probably once things start to take off, because you can't just have teenagers coming. You have to have the teenagers' parents coming.
Because they buy the tickets.
They buy the tickets. You got to reach all the peoples.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of reaching all the peoples, Alan, how can folks find us, follow us, connect with us?
Well, my address is wasitchancepodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at wasitchance. So we want to know what creative manifestations you are doing in your life. What chances are you taking? Let us know if you're going to come see 355. Let us know what's going on. We want to hear from you. We answer those DMs.
We really do.
And we won't leave you unread.
We mean me. I answer all the DMs.
I look at them. I just don't respond because I know you're going to.
I love it. Yes, we do. And email us and let us know. And if you have anybody that you think would be a great guest, let us know. Or if you want to pitch yourself like Maddie did. We can't say yes to everybody, but you never know. Folks, thank you so much for being here. You've been listening to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. And trust me, everybody is creative. I'm Heather Vickery.
Yes, we are. I'm Alan Seald.
Check you out later.
Bye.
Bye.